Hello, everybody. This is Joshua Hatton with One Nation Under Whiskey. I am joined today by my co-founder, Jason Neal, Patrick Harris, Johnson Yellen.
A great honour. Blessings upon thee.
Yes, it is. Should be
and a good morrow.
It should be an honor to be joined by me, with me, in conjunction with me.
That was so many
We're like conjoined founders. I think we're conjoined founders. Is that what we are, Jason? Right?
Are we Siamese twin founders?
We're Siamese twin founders. Do you want to know something really quickly? You're about to make a point, but I'm going to stop you.
I need to blow my nose, but that's aside.
Our theme song, which is by the band Way Down, is called Wooden Monsters. And the entire album, which is called The Family Zoo, is a, what do they call those? Like a concept album about conjoined twins and about how they want to separate. And once they finally separate, they lose one another. And one of them goes off and actually kills his brother, burning him and all of his friends alive. Like it's actually it's a tragic story. So I hope we never uncouple. Jason, let's stay conjoined.
Hello, dear listeners, and welcome to Single Cask Nation. I'm joined today with Joshua Hatton, not talking about burning people on a concept album. Let's cut to some whiskey. Wow.
Cuts deep.
Speaking of being co-founders, this episode is Wednesday, June 24. We currently have a lovely, lovely retro promo on the website. For those of you in America, follow singlecasknation.com. We have a Joshua Hatton Founders Bundle and we have a Jason Johnson Yellen Founders Bundle. And we are throwing in retro glassware, we're throwing in retro t-shirts, we're throwing in retro hoodies, if that's the way the wind is blowing. I was looking in the stocks today. We may be throwing in other retro items as well for people. Anyone who's made an order so far, I'm just filling you up. I'm filling up the box with stuff that's lying around, all retro. This is our 15th year. We're making a full year celebration. We've talked about bringing back the Whiskey Jubilee on October 15 for one night only. That's going to have tickets going for sale very soon. They're not out yet. You haven't missed. They haven't sold out. Sure. They're coming. Patience will be rewarded. But this week of the episode drop, we have got Founders Bundles on the website. So please go looking for those. Please support. Joshua, for the viewers, is doing an unzipping. We are on YouTube, so normally there's an unboxing on YouTube. He is showing his retro Single Cask Nation t-shirt. If you make it to the website, you will be able to click through on us describing our own Founders Bundles. So please, go to singlecasknation.com. The rest will follow. But yeah, really excited to be enjoying the birthday. With that in mind, we are speaking with Phil Brandon today, and we are charting his 15-year. His turns out to be 17-year journey from 2009 to 2026. And we really get into his impetus, right? Why do this? Why start this? What's of interest? Where do you go? And I tell you, Joshua, I'm looking to ask him about some of those special offerings that sit on his website. I'm not going to lead the witness too much before we get into this interview. But there's a lot of interesting stuff on the Rocktown Distillery website. And I've got questions. I believe you've got questions.
I do. Some questions, clarification on something. I want to make sure I'm understanding things correctly about their production and some of the things that they're doing or have done, I should say. And like you look through their website and there's some interesting things. And so some of our questions may cross and I may let you just ask them for me. So,
and me, you, as the conjoined twins that we are. I will say to listeners, please hang around after the interview where Joshua and I will taste the soon-to-be released 10-year-old Rocktown Distillery bourbon out of Arkansas. We're going to get our laughing gear around that and give that a bit of a discussion as well. But before we get to our tasting of our selection, let's talk to the man himself and see how he came to be the man behind Rocktown Distillery.
Phil Brandon, Rocktown Distillery, thanks so much for joining us to talk about bass guitars, rock and roll. We're not here to talk about whiskey. We're here to talk about bass guitars.
Good. So what are you playing these days?
I am...
Jason makes his exit.
So my main bass is a Healy guitar bass. My friend Trevor Healy is a luthier out of Massachusetts, and he made a custom bass for me for my what do they call it? What do they call that? My midlife crisis. Instead of a Camaro, I got a bass.
Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, I've had a Fender Jazz Bass Special since 1986, I guess.
There you go.
I did have a Warwick 5-string neck through that I sold recently because it was just gathering some dust and didn't really need it to sit. Needed a home where somebody could jam. But
there you go.
Yeah, and then this one was a staff Christmas present that they got custom made, and it's got the Rocktown logo there under the strings.
I love it.
So
It's a beautiful bass.
No, thank you. It's supposedly barrel wood they got some staves and the guy flattened them, but I don't believe it. So.
Have you played it? Have you put it through an amp?
Yeah, no, it's cool. Yeah. I don't have my amp here to jam with you. Sorry, but yeah.
And I would have got my setup and everything. This would have been great dueling basses.
Right.
You two can have a follow-up episode at your leisure and just jam away. I'll be like fish in here.
Yeah. I played in bands all through the early 90s, doing cover. Is that?
Yeah, my fire alarm is going off. Just pause a second. Is my daughter smoking pot? Let's see what's happening.
Oh, Jesus. And we lost him. There we go.
Yeah,
all right.
So Josh, at least he didn't mute his mic though. Blessings to him for not muting his mic. I'm so glad we can still hear it as he gets closer to it.
A few moments later.
Did you just knock it off the wall, or what did you do?
I took my, you know what I did?
He wafted a bass.
I took this 2-stringer and I just took a head
Dude,
stock
you're way deeper in it than I am. I need at least 4, but all right.
Every once in a while, all you need is the 2.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway.
So anybody who's out there wafting a towel has made a mistake. They should be wafting a 2-string bass guitar.
2-string.
Much more effective. Yeah.
That's it. Just an A and a D string. That's all you need. So wait, actually, I think we're here to discuss whiskey, right? Bourbon.
Oh, I think. Sure, let's do that.
You got my text.
So, is that what that was? Anyway, Rocktown Bourbon, you guys started 2009. We're in our 15th year. I mean, so we always ask this question now in our 15th year. What were you doing 15 years ago? We know that you're 2 years into your distillery, but what was that looking like 2 years in? What was your life like?
Oh God, it was hard times, man. That was oof. Yeah. No, you think I'm not? We joke around a lot, but first 5 years were rough. It was treading water with the level of the water up here and the snorkel going up and trying to make it all go. So yeah, it was touch and go. It was hard being a small distillery in a small state, for sure.
So you had made the transition from the corporate world into this being a man who makes bourbon.
Yes.
What was the runway? What did the runway look like for that? Was any part of the corporate gig adjacent to the spirits industry, or were you just a passionate spirits lover?
No, I worked at Alltel Wireless, which was headquartered here in Little Rock, which at the time was the 5th largest wireless carrier in the country.
Oh, okay.
And they got acquired by Verizon. And so my job was going away here in Little Rock. I could try to go work in Atlanta or New Jersey for them or whatever. But I never really had the interest to move. I wanted to stay in Little Rock. And what could I do to stay in Little Rock? And looked at a lot of different things, but I had this entrepreneurial bug just in general. And but I was an appreciator of whiskey. And you know how Google works. You're Googling, Lagavulin, and you scroll down, and next thing you know, there's a distillery in New York or Washington or one of these coastal states or California that's a small distillery making spirits, and I'm like, now that sounds cool. Now how would I do that? And so, yeah, I started doing the investigation, the work, went to Michigan State and for a 3-day deal with, Chris Bergeland up there. And, that was, sponsored by one of the still makers at the time and Carl Stills. And, then I ended up hiring Dave Pickerel to be my consultant.
Nice.
Yeah.
And,
Dave Pickerel family.
Yeah. It was early on in his consulting career. He didn't even have the hat on yet. He was just fresh off of his job from Maker's Mark. And Rob at Vendome had recommended him as a consultant. And so between that and my ability from my corporate life ahead of that, I put together a business plan and pitched it to some local banks, and it was during the Great Recession, and so
Sure.
I was able to get a small business loan through the stimulus package.
Nice one.
To do that, and I rolled my 401k in and raised a little bit of money from friends and family and put all that in the middle of the table and rolled the dice.
Good gosh. Was your hair the same color as mine before you pushed all the chips in, or did that come with the territory?
No, this is 15 years of distilling, 16 years of distilling. What that is, yeah. I'm really only 38, but I look like I'm 62.
Yeah, mine's 15 years of collaborating with Joshua.
Yeah, my hair was straight before I started.
You got to check the ground loop on your amp, man. I think you got fried one time when you lifted the mic. I don't know.
Just keep working away. I'm curious here, Phil, as you're talking about consulting and then kind of pushing all your chips into the table and being a whiskey lover. Did you have a style that you wanted for your distillery, or were you willing to listen to other voices about good flavor profiles? I'm always curious about that part for producers, because as independent bottlers, we get to play in all the sandboxes. And while we might be texture guys first and foremost, we're always looking to see what's coming from a particular distillery. So for you setting it up, what were you looking at? What were you hoping to achieve with your spirit?
Wow, that's a deep question, man.
Cheers. Whereas you guys are bassists, I came from philosophy. So
Well, there's a couple ways to look at it, right? Is like, do I determine the style, or does the distillery determine the style? And
Right.
I heard you talking to the guy from Highwire about terroir and all that kind of thing.
Scott Blackwell,
And
cheers.
Scott, sorry, I've named this yet. But,
No worries.
all that distilling. But, it's, I don't think, I've never been one of those people that said, okay, well, I'm going today to get, apple out of my still, and I'm going to distill it to get apple, or I'm going to distill this to get, an earthy kumquat flavor or whatever, or I'm looking for stone fruits, or I'm looking for, graininess or what have you. I think that happens. And but what you try to do is take the best raw ingredients you can and treat them the best way you possibly can. And what comes out the other end is what Mother Nature has to say about the whole equation. And you can't really have a dial that says, oh, I want my style to be fruity, or I want my style to be meaty. It happens, but there are things we can do as distillers to influence that. We can increase the length of the line arm. We can, triple distill. We can change our fermentation temperatures, or we can change our yeast strains, or our profiles, or our grain in the mash bill. Yeah, those are all flavor controlling things, but at the end of the day, Mother Nature has her say with it. And so I just wanted to make the best product I possibly could. And using the scientific method over years of practice, I've honed into the way we make things today that seems to work and that I like. And I'm hoping that, if I like it, then other people will like it too,
Well, it seems like it. You came out the gate pretty quickly with some of those awards. So what did you start winning awards in 2013?
That's right. You've done a little research. Right.
So, yeah. So speaking of doing a little research, so your approach to it seemed a little different. If I got my understanding correct, sometimes I don't get things correct, where a lot of distilleries start and they'll source while they're distilling and then release their own. As I understand it, you sourced grains locally and used someone else's distillery to produce your own. Did I understand that correctly on your website?
No. But you've got part of it right, but the idea of the timeline is wrong. So right when I first got started, there were guys like Smooth Ambler and those that were sourcing and then making their own, but they weren't releasing their own yet or whatever. I decided to take the hardest way possible.
Okay.
And because I'm stubborn and dumb, and I said, I want to make my own whiskey. I want to use Arkansas grains, and I'm going to use my pot still, and I'm going to make it. And it wasn't till 2020 that I said, okay, I need to expand my production. I still want to make my own whiskey. How can I do that? And that was in 2020 here, 10, 11 years after I got started, that I finally decided, okay, the collaborative distilling program at Bardstown Bourbon Company sounds interesting to me. Let me take my Arkansas corn and let me go up to Bardstown, use my cooking regimen, my yeast, and cook it at their facility while I'm standing there tasting the mash,
right,
overseeing the cooks, watching it run through the still. Yeah, their guys are pushing the buttons and everything, but, I actually did some very unique things that they'd never done before during distillation. So, there's things like that I did later on, yes, but initially I never sold, a product that was sourced from another distillery.
Got it. So that was you went up there to learn how to expand your production back at the distillery.
Right. So
okay. I appreciate the
I
clarification.
decided that instead of like buying my own column still and spending multi-million dollars that I didn't have, and all of that to build a new distillery, to then just use their still for 9 days and make more than I could make in 2 years normally. But make it as much Rocktown way as possible. Yeah.
I see. Okay. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I'm curious, Phil. You tease the listener/viewer with, obviously, this is tough, and when you push all your chips into the middle of the table, you're taking a big swing. I'm curious for the further delivery there for the listeners and the viewers. At what point, assuming there has been a point, at what point did you feel like, okay, this is going to work? This is at least going to get off the ground and take flight. I know you start talking about 2020, now you're looking at expansion. How do you fill orders when you're in demand? But before that, was there a moment when you maybe breathed 1 degree easier?
Yeah, I guess it was probably 6 years in.
Okay, that's a big number.
Yeah, that you begin to think, okay, the orders are coming, things are starting to happen, this is looking good. I can continue on. But yeah, it was touch and go there early days for sure.
Okay, so maybe about 2015, maybe that kind of time.
15, 16, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Gosh. And at that point, did you also have people coming to the distillery? I know you've got the beautiful bar set up there. Was that from the beginning of this enterprise? Was that always part of what you were doing? Or did that come in a little bit along the way as well?
That came in 2018.
Oh, okay. There you go.
So in Arkansas, when I first started the distillery, the laws didn't allow us to sell anything direct to consumer, no bottles from the tasting room, right?
Right.
Okay.
And so I went to the legislature and changed the law in 2011 to allow us to sell by the bottle 7 days a week as much as we want. So that helped us get revenue in as we increased our tours and that whole thing. And then I went back to the legislature in 2017 and I changed the law that allows distilleries to sell what they make, as well as mixers and other things, by the drink 7 days a week. So I got the by the drink law passed. So in 2018, we moved to this facility and opened the bar that's open 6 days a week now, and 10 to 10 p.m. most days, and then midnight Friday and Saturday night, and that's been a huge thing for us as well. So, yeah.
But then, just as you're getting that open a couple of years, you're shut down with COVID.
Right.
This is
happy times.
this is quite the roller coaster. This is uphill, down dale for you.
But, the good thing for us about COVID was our Arkansas distributor and our Arkansas business was built for the off-premise. Mm-hmm. So we were shipping vodka out the door the entire time during COVID and making hand sanitizer and selling that out through the bar.
Yeah.
So COVID, I did not take a single day off from March 17th when it was declared a pandemic until Thanksgiving.
Wow.
So we were just here doing everything we could to keep up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So
COVID for a lot of brands, for a lot of distilleries, for as bad as COVID was for pretty much everything, it really seemed to be quite a boon for distilleries because people had nothing to do other than sit home and buy all the things.
If your business was not hinged on-premise business, on bars and restaurants, and you had a decent presence in the off-premise, which we did here in Arkansas and other places, you could continue to operate. And so it was not a bad thing for us from that perspective.
Yeah.
You know.
Did it provide any other opportunities for you? Expansion in distribution, things like that?
No, there wasn't really much of that going on, but through our existing channels, we were able to sell quite a bit, to the off-premise.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so to frame out this story, so 2009 we've got creation, then around 2013 you've got award-winning, then around 2016 we rather selfishly have got a little cask going on, thank you. Then into 2018 you've got the bar, and the bar with the new facility around that time.
Yeah, we moved,
2020, you've got the column still work going on at Bardstown, along with what you're doing every day in Little Rock, Arkansas at the distillery. For you then, what did coming out of the pandemic into, say, the next 5 years, what's that look like for you?
Just steady growth. We haven't... done anything magic or tragic. It's just all been kind of, steady as she goes, launching some new products here and there, releasing some new whiskeys here and there, doing some more, cask finishing and other things like that, experiment, so yeah, we continued on our path.
Can you talk to us a little bit about the peated bourbon that's on your website?
Right.
You can imagine that caught my eye.
So, I've been to Isla. I love peated, single malts, and
nice.
I wanted to do that. So I, got some Baird's heavily peated, which is a Scottish malt house, and brought it in. I made a single malt with it, and I made a peated bourbon with it. So where peated malt is the middle grain, so 82% corn, 9% peated malt, 9% distiller's malt, and it just adds that hint of peated smokiness and complexity to the bourbon, which I really enjoy. But as it comes to find out, the market for it's not that big, because there aren't that many people that want Band-Aids in their bourbon. But it's not Band-Aids. I'm sorry, but it does add a hint of smokiness. And there was a YouTube channel down in Texas that tried it, and they freaking loved it, but not enough so that we did have people come out and try to find it because of that. But it's not been something that set the market on fire for those reasons. But Phil makes it because Phil likes it.
I love that.
Good enough reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, part of the reason it caught my eye is obviously we spend a lot of time talking to people about Scotch, where the American whiskey lovers coming to us and saying, "Oh, I don't like Scotch; it's all smoky," and we're so busy saying it's not all smoky. A very small corner of the industry is smoky.
A little bitty, Come on, man. But I talk to people about it all the time too. I can't believe how that mindset can be in there, But I really love it and enjoy it for sure.
Well, and I was kind of curious, what have your conversations looked like? Have you had people who are kind of like, Yeah, I don't do the Scotch. It's all smoky. Here, I'm kind of derailing my own question here, but here's the thing that always flabbergasts me is Americans love smoked meat, right? Smoked meat is so important.
Barbecue
But
is so important. Yeah, right.
Right. But a smoked spirit is insanity. Like, that's crazy talk. And so I'm curious for you in Arkansas, have you had success with the barbecue crossover into peated bourbon or the peated single malt that you were producing?
Not so much. You know,
Right?
people, they're like, oh, wait a minute. You know, I'm not really understanding where this is coming from. What are you trying to do here? And, you
Isn't that
know,
funny?
it's, yeah. So it's, and, you know, early on, I actually had built a grain smoker and smoked my own grains with hickory to make a hickory smoked whiskey to try to achieve that barbecue like note in the whiskey. And it, while I thought it was nice and smoky, it did not set the market on fire either. So when we moved to the new distillery in 18, I quit making it because it was just so laborious to smoke the grain and so not safe because of the fire aspect with the distillery next to it and the whole thing. So
that tracks.
Yeah. But I'm not really sure why it doesn't cross over as well as it should, you know, with everybody loving smoked meats and barbecues and, you know, so, yeah.
Are you still producing the peated bourbon using the Baird's peated as the small percent of your barley? Okay, that's still ongoing for you.
I make it once a year along with the peated single malt. So, yeah.
Okay. Wow. There might be a single malt question here from Joshua.
Yeah. Well, actually, it's not a single malt question. It's more back to your own grains that you're using.
Yeah.
As you mentioned before, listening to the conversation with Scott Blackwell in Terroir, and I'm just curious if you can talk to us a little bit about the grains that you're sourcing and the importance that you might be putting on your own grains for your whiskeys and the flavors.
Yeah, you know, I kind of come from that, you know, Bruichladdich school of terroir and whiskeys, and I wanted to use Arkansas grains, Arkansas corn, Arkansas wheat. We later got a farmer to grow Arkansas rye, so our rye is farmed here. And our latest thing is that we're using Arkansas rice. And we make a rice bourbon, which is, you know, again, a bourbon, mostly corn, but the middle grain or the flavor grain is rice. And then, you know, the standard dose of malted barley in that. And that rice is from a particular farm the Isbells run that they grow a lot of incredible rice, and you know one of the strains they use is for sake, and they're one of the few, the only American rice farm that sells to Japan and all that kind of stuff. So it's really pretty cool to work directly with them. I did initially work with one single farm to get my corn from, and at the scale we are, as small as we are, it's like one row of the combine, and that's all we need for a year, you know. And it got really like laborious to get that one truck and then clean it and bag it and try to use it all year and keep the bugs out of it. So we're not as designated as Scott is as to the farms that we're actually getting the corn and the wheat from, but it's soft red winter wheat that's grown here in Arkansas. It's Elbon rye that's grown here in Arkansas, and then we're using the long grain white rice for the rice bourbon. So, but I think, you know, being a distillery, you want to use what is from where you are.
Yeah.
I just think that's really important. And, you could buy a bag of corn from, one of the brewing supply companies, and who knows where the corn came from or whatever. But I get it from a seed dealer here in, 100 miles from the distillery, so that's the way it works for me.
Nice.
Could we talk a little bit just about that rice, just in general? What sort of flavors is that bringing? I think of rice mochi. I think of sweetness coming through. Is that what it's bringing for your whiskeys?
It's bringing some sweetness through. When it's fermenting, it smells a little bit lemony. It's interesting, and that kind of comes through sort of citrusy in the bourbon itself after aging. But it's clean. White rice, it adds a bit of sweetness along with the corn. It ferments extremely well. It's not foaming like rye is.
I was going to ask about that. Okay. Yeah.
So the last 2 years I've gone to Bardstown, I've taken my Arkansas corn and Arkansas rice up there to start laying down large, for me, a lot of barrels of rice bourbon to then release. But we do also do it in our pot still here, and we've got some that's 4 or 5 years old now as well. So,
and then with the rice as well, I think of producers in Japan like Oishi and Fukano, and there are a few others that use predominantly rice. And in the fermentation process, they're using koji. Are you using koji in any of that? No. Okay.
This is standard distiller's yeast, that we would use for a bourbon. We use that same yeast because, we're not trying to introduce a different,
I didn't know how funky you were getting. I just
man.
Okay.
I'm down with the funk. I can slap a little bit, but I'm not looking for funk in the distillery. So we do some funky things, but not with the different molds and things that might be used for sake or things, but. I don't know if you know this, but Arkansas is the largest producing state of rice. We make more rice here than any other state.
I had no idea. No.
So that's why I was like, duh, why don't I make something with rice? So about 5 years ago now, 6 years, I guess it's been, I started making a rice bourbon. So and the first batch was extremely well received, and it was like, okay, guys, well, it's going to be another 4 years, and then we'll do another one. You know how it is. So and then we started just doing it, repetitively during one segment of the year, right after the rice harvest.
Okay, so fresh for you there.
Yeah, right.
So how does your calendar fit together then? You've got the peated bourbon you're saying is once a year, the rice bourbon you're saying is once a year. You've got rye going on in there as well. You've got non-brown spirits, which we're brown spirits biased on these episodes. But how does your calendar kind of fit together? How does every little bit slot in there?
Well, it is just that. It's a Google sheet. It's like, okay, we're going to make bourbon for 3 weeks, and then we're going to make low rye bourbon, and then we're going to make single malt, and then we're going to make rye, and then we're going to make chocolate malt and golden promise malt, and then we're going to make back to bourbon again, and then we're going to do another 3 weeks of that, and and then it just rotates that way through the year, so that I don't do it like all in certain times of the year necessarily, except for a few things that I only do small batches of, because I want to have aged product available multiple times a year, not just like one swath a year and boom, we bottle that. You know what I mean?
That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm going to ask my single malt question. You mentioned chocolate malt. You mentioned Golden Promise here. So let's talk. How are you using these components? Let's talk.
So I did like a whole flavor grain series of bourbons that I used chocolate malt as the flavor grain. I used Golden Promise as the flavor grain. I used peated malt as the flavor grain, and I used unmalted barley as the flavor grain. And I did all of those with just 9% of the mash being changed into those other grains as a way to decide, how much influence, is it all the barrel or does the grain really make that much difference?
Sure. Yeah, excellent. I love that.
And just 9% of it. And it absolutely makes all the difference. Just 9% of the mash bill being something completely different. So
as an example, the 9% malted barley versus unmalted barley, what for your palate, what are you seeing as the main differentiating flavor factor there?
Oh, geez, you're trying to get me to recall flavor notes and that sort of thing.
Now,
what else? It was, I don't know, it was delicious, but I can't really pull a flavor note out other than, the review that I got was that it was Irish whiskey meets bourbon with, the idea that they use the unmalted barley in there, but it added a nice bit of complexity and different graininess that you wouldn't normally taste. But it was a fun thing to do for sure, but we don't do it anymore because the only reason why I did an unmalted.
Hey, Phil, I'm sorry to interrupt you. It sounds like your hand might be on your microphone or something.
I'm not touching the mic.
Oh, no. Okay. Yeah, it sounded like you were far away for a little bit, and now you.
I might have backed up. I might have backed up.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, the unmalted barley was a failed malting experiment that I did. Is I got a farmer to grow barley here in Arkansas, and we were going to malt it ourselves. And this was even back when Owen was working with me. And
nice.
We steeped the barley and we spread it out on the floor, and it did not sprout.
Ouch.
And I did all this investigation, and I finally sent it off to the Canadian Malting Barley Institute, and they were like, "Yeah, your germination energy is too low. It's not going to malt." And I'm like, "What is germination energy? How could this be so hard? I'm just trying to, do the experiment where you take a seed and put it in a paper towel and grow shit, And
right.
No, that didn't work. So I had all this unmalted barley that I had grown and that I'd paid for, and I made. When you have grain, you make whiskey out of it, right? So that's what I did.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Yeah. Gosh.
Yeah.
When you're looking at a floor full of failed experiment, you still have to turn it into something.
Yeah, right. And
you spent your money.
It was highly regarded and sold out, but
There you go.
There you go.
Things.
That's a silver lining on a cloud right there.
Right. That's right, for sure. But the flavor grain bourbon is great, and we also make a Golden Promise, 100% Golden Promise single malt.
Nice one.
And we don't do a 100% chocolate malt. That'd be ridiculous. But
That'd be
yeah.
Do you find that drop in yield as you're mashing that?
Yeah, for the chocolate for sure, and you couldn't. But you do get a lot of the dark roast notes straight through to the finished aged product for sure in the chocolate malt, and it's they're similar to peated. There are people that just frickin' love it, and then there's people that are like, "Oh, what is this?"
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
There's so many people, isn't there?
Yeah.
So many. Why don't they all love Pete, Phil? Why don't they all love Pete?
Why don't they?
Not everybody could be right, I guess. Right?
Yeah.
So when you're out and about and you're pitching bourbon in various forms and rye and single malts and those single malts in various forms, are you finding a consumer, we're talking about some of these flavors along the way here. Are you finding one of those offerings is really the cream that rises to the top in people's eyes? Do you find kind of a spattering of fans pertaining to the individual flavor profiles? Well, what is it that people really respond to in what you're pitching, Phil?
Yeah, through distribution, we primarily just sell our standard wheated bourbon.
Wheated, okay.
We used to try to get all the different flavors, all not flavors, but all the different bourbons with the different mash bills and the education process, and it was too much for the distributor to get and to understand, to have all those SKUs. So we tried to narrow it down to where here in Arkansas we do have stores that carry a lot more SKUs just because this is our home state. But most of these, like the single malts and the cask finishes and that sort of stuff, is only available here at the distillery.
Gotcha. So people are able to show up, get a part of that education on site, or even come back and track down a favorite that they're already on board with.
Go through a tasting, that sort of thing, and try it, decide if they want it, and all of that. And that's been working well for us. Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely hear that out and about what can you trust a distribution partner to be responsible for, and how many stories can they take on board for so many other brands. And I appreciate it's a busy spot. We're out here doing single casks, so each thing we put out into market is the brand new thing into market, and we're always trying to find how do you tell that story, how do you bridge that gap. With that said, actually, Phil, and I'm not going to put you back on the flavor spot, but I'm curious. The cask of Rocktown that we have the privilege of releasing was actually distilled March of 2016. And the label has a very loud and proud 10 years old on the front. And we haven't put a lot of 10-year-old bourbons out into the world, so we're really excited about that. I'm curious, kind of the way we've gone with our conversation today, what were things looking like? Where were you at in the journey March of 2016 when you were laying down that barrel at Rocktown?
Yeah, it was just as we were starting to round the corner and think we kind of are going to be okay. But there was still some tumultuous times going on during that. And in 2015, we finally got Glazers to let us go in Arkansas, and we moved over to Moon Distributing, a locally owned distributor. And that's what made all the difference in the world for us.
Sure.
Nice.
And
very nice.
We were starting to get some pull through with them, and that was starting to go well. And 2016, busy time for sure, but it was good.
Yeah. For any of those casks laid down, did you think those would make it to 10?
No. No. People ask me every day, it's like, the visitors that come in, where's that barrel from the first, it's 16 years old, I know you're holding some back. And I'm like, do you understand how this works at all? I'm in the business of selling whiskey, not of watching it evaporate. You're like, what? But yeah, it was like, if I could sell it at 3, I'm selling it at 3. I'm not saving it,
Right.
And the only reason why there's a 15-year-old, Old Crow is they couldn't sell it when it was 10, and the only reason why there's a 10 is they couldn't sell it when it was 5. I mean, people don't understand that, those are all little piggy banks sitting there, and
Right.
with diminishing returns potentially every year that it sits there. So,
Ain't that the truth? Yeah, I think we've got 181 bottles going out as a 10-year-old. So
that's better yield than I would have thought, for sure.
Yeah.
I did not expect that number of bottles from that cask. Super
Yeah.
excited.
What's your bottling proof ended up? What's that end up at?
So actually, I'm actually just double checking here so that I do give you the correct number. But it is showing at 63%. 63%, 126 proof is what we've got on the label here. So
that went in the barrel at 110.
Wow! So it went up a notch.
I've got my pen. I've got my sample bottle. I'm taking my note.
Right.
Entry.
Our entry proof for everything is 110, and has been
that's great.
since day one. So, and that's what happens here in Arkansas for us is our proof climbs for sure.
Do you find it climbing reasonably quickly? Is it that type of climate where you can shoot up pretty fast?
After about 3 or 4 years, we'll get to 115, 117,
Okay.
pretty easily, yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's still gone up from there. So, but
right.
the important thing for us is obviously that brings the texture. We talked earlier about being texture guys, but it's so drinkable at that strength. It's not difficult to enjoy it and put another pour in the glass. It goes down really easy. So
nice.
We're excited to release it. We hear the talk around Rocktown in bourbon circles, and you guys got a real good reputation really fast. And so, for us in the nation, we definitely have bourbon fans, rye fans, and other spirit fans in the nation. But we're Scotch, primarily Scotch, front and foremost. That's what we're releasing the majority of the year. So to be able to turn an eye, hence, speaking to Scott at High Wire, speaking to Caitlin at Clear Creek, these are the types of collaborations, getting to shine lights, getting to show the nation who we believe in out in the brown spirit space as well.
That's awesome.
And to have a really special bourbon there. We're excited to get it. Tasted excited to get it released. Cheers! Thanks to you. If I may be so bold as to get you out of here on this, which is we've spent this time talking about 2009 to 2026. What does the future look like for Phil and the Rocktown team and the distillery? What do you see when you look into your crystal ball?
Oh man, if I had a crystal ball, that's one of those
Would you have still done in 2009?
We've continued to grow every year. A lot of distilleries are struggling this year under the current economic climate that we're under, but we're actually doing well. We're actually growing.
Nice.
This year over last year, so
congrats.
Opening some new markets with distributors. We're hitting a pretty good stride right now, and I feel like we're well positioned to continue in the future. And my son has worked here for 7 years now, or 8. I don't know how long. It seems like forever. For 2 good years, he's worked here.
Is he within earshot right now?
No. Oh, thank goodness. Anyway, he runs the stills on the still on the day-to-day basis and does logistics and that sort of thing. So
Gotcha.
maybe one day in the future, 85 years from now, he'll be where I am. But, it's, we just continue keeping on, doing the best we can and trying to improve every single day. And that's all we can do. But no big, plan on expansion or anything, with this current climate that we're in. I almost did all that and pulled the plug on it at the last minute, and thank God I did.
Yeah.
Or we'd be one of those casualties on the side of the road, and you'd be talking about the ghost distillery of Rocktown.
Right.
But luckily, I pulled the plug on it there at the last minute, and no, we're doing well. Yeah.
Really, really pleased to hear that, and really, really pleased to play our part in talking about Rocktown.
Thanks. Yeah.
Putting on people's radars, or even hearing from people who are Rocktown fans coming after a single Cask Nation bottling of it. That's also exciting. We love knowing that that's happening.
Yeah, it's exciting that y'all are doing that. So thank you very much. Yeah.
Yeah, we're honored. We really are.
Well, thanks.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks a million for your time today, Phil. It's really been a blast hanging with you.
Thank you guys. Yeah, it's been fun. Yeah, y'all are fun. Let's get together and jam, Josh.
I'm down. I'm ready to rock. You bring 4 strings, I'll bring 4 and 2.
4 and 2. Nice.
Awesome. Cheers.
Cheers. Thanks.
There was a number of... So first off, before I go on to the things that I've learned, I need to say thank you. Phil, that was a wonderful conversation. And
absolutely.
Yeah, right. Spending time with him, getting to learn about his history, his journey, the steps that he took, which are quite different than some of the other producers in the U.S., right?
Right.
But, as we're going through this conversation, I'm thinking, wow, I'm learning this, I'm learning that. But most of all, as he's going through all of these different mash bills and these grains, and I'm thinking, what I'm learning the most is he's having fun.
I think when he leads with, I was a whiskey fan, right?
Yeah. Right,
that's important, right? That's definitely important in there. Yeah, power to him. And I love that he opened, on the back of his own stuff. He took down awards on the back of his own stuff. He changed facilities on the back of his own stuff. It wasn't until 2020 that he started, adding to production with that Bardstown crossover, and then keeping that line separate from what he's doing at his home distillery, but still using Arkansas grain along the way. That's
I thought that
clearly
was
part of this.
That was an important clarification in reading on the website. I didn't fully understand that venture into Bardstown and what that was doing, but once he explained that makes sense, and I love that he brought his grain to Bardstown to do that, and the importance that he puts on the terroir, on the Arkansas grain. And our last interview with Scott Blackwell,
right?
when we came out of the conversation, and I said, "Here I am, starting to become a believer, if you will, of
I won't,
that where a grain comes from could lend, to the flavor of the whiskey. I am following that train of thought, and so I appreciate that he's following that as well. And so, I just thought it was cool.
Hey, listen, with all these words said, and I agree, and I sincerely thank Phil for joining us. And we do mean it. It is an honor to bottle, a collaborative cask, a barrel with someone. So look at the color on this. Red brass is what we're talking about. Then also look at the oils. Look at that for subtle promotion, Joshua. The viewers are seeing a retro single cask nation glass right now. This can be yours if you pick up one of the Founders bundles on the website until the end of June 26, the eve of my 52nd birthday. Stay tuned and I will give you my social security number before the end of today's episode. Mother's maiden name, it's all coming. It's all coming.
Wow.
So a beautiful colour on this 10-year Arkansas grain-driven bourbon.
Gosh, it's this like ooey cherry pie kind of thing going on that gets me right off the bat.
Some vanilla ice cream there, something nice and sweet coming from
Yeah, I'll take
the
that.
corn quality in there. Do you remember the mash bill on this one?
Yeah, so this was what? It was 82% corn,
Yes, sir.
9% wheat,
Yep.
and 9% malted barley.
Yes.
Yep.
Yep,
So
9%.
it's a wheater. I mean, that's a good point, right? Like, yes, it's wheat, but I don't know if I would call it like a wheater. You know, like a Weller. I think is up in the teens or something like that. So it's not like big wheat.
Yeah.
Right.
Complementary grain.
Definitely complementary.
Oh my gosh. It's oh my gosh. It's so warm, right? You said warm cherry pie. I'm getting warm caramel, right? On the nose.
For sure. What's the that nougaty thing that like the Italian white nougat with the nuts, the Tyrone nougat? Have you ever had that before?
No, excuse me. Oh gosh.
Yeah, I'm getting that. It's like a slight nuttiness that I think is from the malt, and then that nougat, that chewy kind of nougaty thing going on.
With a little tickle in my throat, I thought just a little bit of that soothing, unctuous bourbon. It's just what my throat was calling out for. Oh my gosh. This label says 63% ABV, 126 proof. We just heard in the interview from Phil. This went into barrel at 110 proof, 55% alcohol. This drinks so luxuriously. The heavy texture on this protects from all of that alcohol. Oh
Yeah,
my
I
gosh.
I wonder if it's that corn, right? Just like Highwire had that heft, that weight to it. This has that similar heft and weight to it. It's just so unctuous. It's so pleasing, so mouth-coating.
I will say Rocktown has a distillery on their website. They have a lot of cocktail recipes. And you can see the way in which even just this single cask would play so well in a cocktail. I wonder if that's a component of their spirit. Oh, gosh.
Oh.
It's warm. It's brown. It's buttery.
But my palate's going back to the cherries again. I'm getting those cherry wax lips going on. Sort of as it goes towards the finish, it kind of brightens up.
Where do you find the oak in here? We're talking a number 4 char on this.
It's center palate. It's this nice oak spice that's just sort of, it's toasty. It's almost granola-like. And I don't find it overbearing, right? I don't find it like knocking you over the head with.
Oh, we wouldn't have bottled it,
right?
if it was overbearing.
Yeah.
But my experience on it is there's the sweet, and that's the caramel and the nougat. But then there's also the nutty, which is the butter, right? That nice kind of like browned butter kind of quality.
Yeah.
And I think maybe even the popcorn brings some of that as well. But it's so nicely in balance with the oak and that oak spice. And I'm looking at the back of our label here.
Yep.
as we submitted it to the TTB. And the flavometer shows a 7 on sweet, a 7 on spice, a 7 on oak, and an 8 on rich. Just nudging all of that up a degree. But when you meet Jess, when we come up with these flavometers, there's the story that the flavometer tells that reflects the tasting experience. And that's where I love this. 7 sweet, 7 spice, 7 oak, 8 rich. That captures this for me. There are then individual flavor notes going on, but that's the overall arc of this tasting experience.
Yeah. Firstly, I agree with everything that you're saying. There's a note I remember getting on the finish, which was like a clove like note, right? We got baking spices and clove, but I'm also, and I brought up this note before, and I would say it almost ventures into clove cigarette territory, which that's where I wonder the number 4 char comes in, where that delicate sort of smokiness, not smoke, but you know what I mean, that sort of charriness
Charred
in,
effect. Yeah.
right? And joins forces with that clove. It's so pleasant, so pleasing.
That clove is a great note. The cracked black pepper is there on the finish as well. This is not one note. This is an evolution. This is a symphony. Dare I say, given the timbre of today's conversation, this is a slap of a bass kind of bourbon.
Slap of a bass.
There's this note and that note and this note, and then it just circles around. That's oofty. Gosh, that's good. Always one of those moments where, like, if I hadn't selected that, I would be bummed that I hadn't selected that.
Yeah. Obviously we are a Scotch whiskey company first and foremost. That's what we release 90% of the time. But every year I look forward to these June releases, June, July now, right? We're releasing these in July, right? But it's that focus on Independence Days, that focus on American spirits, and as we're going through, right, with the Clear Creek, and with this Rocktown, and with the High Wire, right, and we've got others coming. I'm really looking forward to putting these out there. There's so much wonderful flavor. I'm so incredibly proud, not just of these whiskeys, but of the collaborative nature of these whiskeys.
And that was the word I was going to throw right back at you. Yeah, collaborative. Yeah. Absolutely. Speaking to human beings who took risks with their 401k. Speaking to human beings, right, who had an idea and thought, can I pull this off? Look at the passion that comes from Scott when he talks about the Jimmy Red. Look at the passion that came from Caitlin when she talked about, a dormant distillery that meant a lot. A dormant brewery that meant so much to so many of us. And that continued life there. As you say, there will be other releases as part of this July release. But I'm so excited with where the releases are going, but I'm also so excited by the conversations that we've been able to get on wax and share with the listeners at One Nation Under Whiskey. So it's all a blast. It's all a blast all the time, and we're very, very lucky, conjoined or otherwise.
2 things. I love that. I love that you're bringing back the conjoined. One of my 2 things is about that. So 2 things. That last note on the finish, and I know we have this written in our tasting notes, but it's so nice to know that it's returned, that melting milk chocolate, because it's not just the flavor, the texture leads to that, right? Or lends itself to it. It's just so soft. And for 63%, you don't expect it to be so soft.
Nope.
I love that.
You're spot on. Yep. Spot on.
That's thing number 1. Thing number 2, when this episode ends, I'm going to put the Way Down song at the end where you hear one of the brothers lighting everybody on fire. So I think you'll like it.
Thing number 3, as always, is please subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're watching this, thanks very much for the support. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoy getting to see Phil with the bass behind him. If you're listening to it, we still greatly appreciate all the listeners around the world who tune in to listen to us. Joshua's pulling out a bass, and so I am going to start running right now. But here's to the nation, here's to 15 years, here's to Phil, here's to Rocktown, here's to a Joshua Hatton incomplete list that gets us out of here with a hearty cheers. LFG!
Once the other day, then you decided to separate. When the doctor said